So, Artist in Residence with Riverside School, as it's turned out and as it's evolving now, has become a week-long full day activity for every child of the required grades to come together and create a piece of theatre. Whether it be running around for money, whether it be designing the costumes, designing the looks of the characters, the makeup, the script, the speech, the music that goes into it, designing the lights, the sound, all of it together, which is what we call theatre making. That is the definitive purpose of Artist in Residence. And with every passing year, we've added a layer of professionalism in terms of bringing in something more and more professional from the real world to the school. So to highlight that, this year we have the post of assistant directors. I've got Sameer and Ariman from grade 10 who've taken on the mantle of doing the running around for me, organizing stuff for me, getting the actors together, pumping them up when need be, scolding them slightly when need be, because they have taken up the responsibility of the entire play as a whole, not just a specific department. So I think Artist in Residence really brings together the idea of making theatre happen, not just acting, not just what goes on stage, but all the hard work and the mehnat that goes behind it. Artist in Residence for me started when I was barely 23, I think, or 20, 22 and something. And obviously it was my first ever children's work happened in this school. And today I do a lot of work with children in a lot of cities actually. And when it started, it was one of those things where I was trying to find my own rooting, find my own ground. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? I didn't know. I just knew that children seemed to respond well to me, and I seemed to respond well to them, and we sort of make a nice team together. So when it started, it was a lot about finding my own feet, making sure that they understand what I'm all about. And I don't like a few of the conventions in the world of theatre, and I broke all of them with these kids. And thankfully, I've seen these kids now. My first batch was grade 7, which is now the outgoing batch of grade 12. And I'm really happy to see how they've grown, and the subsequent batches similarly have grown a lot. Their understanding of what I think theatre is, their understanding of performance, their understanding of drama, their understanding of costume, seriousness, comedy, all of that has evolved over the years in my sight. So it's a great experience to come back as often as I can every year and watch these minds shaping themselves up, taking more and more authority, taking more and more upon themselves to create fine piece of theatre. Obviously, thankfully, it's not product oriented, so it's not really about the performance, though it culminates to that. But it's not about making that performance the best it can be. It's also about making sure every little thing that goes into creating for the final performance, every little step, every little sound effect that's added, every little trinket that gets added on a costume, or every little word that gets changed within this, every little step is given equal importance, and that week really becomes the process and becomes the centerpiece of what Artist in Residence is. And that's something I like to carry to every other school that I go to now. I try, and it's not easy with other conventional annual programs, as they call it, because the onus is on every child being on stage, being seen, being visible by their parents and their friends' parents. So it's a little difficult to replicate this model anywhere else, but as much as possible, I try and get the teachers involved. I try and get the students hands-on with creating props. So for me, Artist in Residence has become an extension of itself in so many ways. No matter where I am, if I'm doing an annual production, there's an element of Artist in Residence that I'm taking to them. I am bringing it to them, and in so many ways, then that's what's happening around the country right now. So an honest confession is that Hindi is not my first language. I can speak it. I can speak the diluted, colloquial Bombay form of it. I don't think in Hindi at all. I don't think too many kids here do. So last year, actually, it started that Riverside decided to combine Hindi Divas with AIR for specific grades. And last year we tried a version of Mahabharat, like a portion of Mahabharat. And this year I was told that the children themselves decided to pick Samrat Ashok as their theme and as their subject for the play. So when I come into this setup, typically I am also a little at a loss of being in my comfort zone, because it is Hindi. It is very periodic Hindi. It's very specific, and I don't speak it. I don't necessarily understand all of it right away. So it takes a little bit of my own research, understanding, asking Priyamada madam, who's sort of been the strength behind the language and constructing the storyline. So this year's Artist in Residence, specifically for 2013, with grades 8, 9 and 10, has been about the life and the transformation, the internal and external transformation of one of the greatest emperors that our country has ever known, which is Bharat Samrat Ashok, as he was called. Funnily, it was also the first role I ever played as a child. It was my introduction to stage. So it holds that little special place in my heart and forever will. So when I watch these kids, when I watch the Ashok in this production, bringing it to stage, there's so many things I want to do that I did when I was a kid, and yet keep it more organic. So it's not just my views being enforced on them, but them doing it. What's happened beautifully this year is, once again, because of the time crunch, a lot of things have happened in a very rapid fashion. That has its own pros and cons, but the pros that we shall see or have just seen in the play are more about how everybody really came together, specifically in the last 3 or 4 days, and made this performance possible. It's not an easy feat at all. The language is alien, the costumes are alien. It's nothing is contemporary about it. So everyone really has to dig deep into their researches and bring out as authentically as possible this piece of theatre. So that is the vision and that is the hope for this year, and I'm waiting to see how it turns out myself.